What if I told you that there are aircraft so colossal that they can carry tanks, helicopters, rocket parts, or even entire airplanes? We are not talking about science fiction. These are real machines, built by the superpowers of the planet, designed to move what no other aircraft could even lift off the ground. Some are so massive they barely fit on the runway. Others have bellies inflated like flying whales. And there is one that, even though it only flew once, remains the most gigantic wooden airplane ever built in history. Today in TechZNX, you are going to discover the 7 most extreme cargo planes humanity has ever created. True titans with wings, machines that broke records, defied physics, and changed the history of air transport forever. So fasten your seatbelt, because what you are about to see are not ordinary airplanes. They are sky beasts carrying the weight of the world. Let's begin. Top 7. Lockheed C-5 Hercules. It is not the biggest, it is not the fastest, but if we talk about extreme versatility, the Hercules earns its place without question. This aircraft does not need endless runways or massive hangars. It can land on dirt, mud, snow, or deserts with just a few hundred meters of space. And once it touches down, it unloads everything: troops, light tanks, containers, paratroopers, or even supply drops at low altitude. The Lockheed C-130 has been in service for more than 60 years, and it is still the tactical transport backbone of over 70 countries. Its numbers? It can carry more than 20 tons of cargo, travel over 4,000 kilometers without refueling, and operate under weather conditions that would ground almost any other plane. But the brutal part is how it does it. Because this airplane was never designed for comfortable airport-to-airport flights. It was built to operate inside combat, fly low, dodge threats, and deliver cargo where no one else could reach. In Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Ukraine, the Hercules has meant the difference between survival and having no supplies at all. And its variants are nearly infinite, from the AC-130 Spectre gunship to tanker versions, rescue, reconnaissance, and electronic warfare models. There are Hercules adapted to land on ice, to launch missiles, to fight wildfires, and even to transport elephants in humanitarian missions. This is not a showpiece aircraft. It is a flying workhorse, an unstoppable beast that quietly has sustained wars, secret missions, and global relief operations for decades. It may not impress with sheer size, but if you had to pick one aircraft for an impossible mission, the Hercules is the first one to take off. Top 6. Airbus Beluga XL. It may not carry tanks or cannons, but when you see this aircraft, you will swear you're looking at a flying whale straight out of a genetic experiment. The Beluga XL is not just a cargo plane. It is an aerial creature designed to swallow objects so gigantic that no other aircraft could transport them. Its mission? To move entire airplane sections, wings, fuselage pieces, complete structures, from one factory to another within the colossal Airbus industrial chain. And to make that happen, they could not just widen the cargo bay. They completely reshaped an A330, raised its roof, built a shark-mouth nose door, and gave it one of the most ridiculously massive bellies ever seen in aviation. More than 7 meters of internal diameter, 63 tons of payload, and a lowered cockpit so the entire forehead of the aircraft can be lifted open. Its shape looks cartoonish, but do not be fooled. This monster cruises at over 800 kilometers per hour with a range beyond 4,000 kilometers, and it is so efficient it can move parts for multiple planes in a single flight. And there is more. The Beluga XL is the direct evolution of another airborne legend, the Super Guppy, the very plane that helped build the Saturn V rocket during the space race. Airbus took that legacy and pushed it into the 21st century with more capacity, more efficiency, and a presence so iconic you cannot help but stare when it flies overhead. And here's the catch. Only 6 units of this giant exist, and each one is essential to keep one of the largest aircraft production chains on Earth running. The Beluga may not go into war zones, but when it comes to carrying what no other aircraft can even pack, this whale flies with pride. Top 5. Boeing 747. Dreamlifter. Forget commercial flights. Forget luxury passengers. This plane was born with one purpose: to move gigantic structures as if they were cardboard boxes. The Boeing 747 Dreamlifter is one of the wildest transformations in modern aviation. They took a standard Boeing, already a massive airplane on its own, gutted it completely, and rebuilt it into the strangest, most extreme flying truck ever made. They inflated its fuselage until it became unrecognizable. They added a gigantic swing-tail cargo door that opens like a space capsule. And they gave it such absurd internal volume that it can carry entire Boeing fuselage sections, wings, and components measuring over 30 meters long. Its numbers? More than 113 tons of payload, an internal volume of 1,800 cubic meters, and a design so specialized that only 4 units exist worldwide. And that is no coincidence. The Dreamlifter is neither civil nor military. It is a vital industrial link for Boeing. Without it, building and assembling Boeing jets across the globe would be impossible. But the most impressive part is not what it carries, it is how it carries it. The fuselage swings completely open from the rear, like a titanium shell peeling apart. Special cranes and platforms slide massive parts inside as if loading a spacecraft. No ramps, no regular doors. Everything is done at Titan scale. This is not a warplane. It is a logistical weapon, an airborne factory accelerating global production, crossing continents with half an airplane inside. It may have no missiles, but when you see it land with that swollen belly, you know you are looking at one of the most extreme cargo planes in history. Top 4. Lockheed C-5 Galaxy. This is not just a plane. It is an airbase with wings, a Titan designed to carry an entire war anywhere on the planet. The Lockheed C-5 Galaxy is one of the largest military transport aircraft ever built, and its mission is crystal clear: move tanks, helicopters, armored vehicles, troops, and all the gear an army needs, thousands of kilometers away, in record time. Since its first flight in 1968, the C-5 has commanded respect. Its numbers? Payload: over 130 tons. Length: 75 meters. Wingspan: almost 70 meters. It is so massive that it can transport 6 Stryker armored vehicles or 2 full M1 Abrams tanks, and still have room left. The brutal part? It has dual cargo doors, one in the nose, one in the tail, allowing vehicles to roll straight through from one end to the other. Its landing gear has 4 independent sets that kneel and adjust height to load on uneven ground. And to top it off, it can refuel mid-air and cover over 11,000 kilometers non-stop. This is not just transport, it is a strategic platform. From Vietnam to Iraq, Afghanistan, and secret ops in Africa, the Galaxy has been the backbone of U.S. logistics. When you need to move an entire army to another continent, the C-5 is the first giant in the sky. Even today, modernized as the Super Galaxy, C-5M, its essence remains unchanged. Raw power, colossal autonomy, and the ability to mobilize an entire war with just a few aircraft. This plane does not just carry cargo, it carries the military power of a superpower. And when you see its nose open, spewing tanks down its front ramp, you finally understand why it is called the Galaxy. Because inside it carries an entire universe of war. Top 3. Antonov and 124 Ruslan. When the Soviet Union wanted to prove it could move the impossible by air, it did not just build a plane, it built a beast, the Antonov. And 124, nicknamed Ruslan, is one of the largest, most powerful aircraft ever created. It was never meant for passengers. It was built to haul ballistic missiles, mobile launchers, tanks, helicopters, and whatever modern war demanded. Numbers that crush? Payload: over 150 tons. Length: 72 meters. Cargo bay height, 3 meters. It rolls on 24 wheels. Its massive rear ramp can swallow entire convoys. The jaw-dropping part? The Ruslan can transport 2 fully armed Mi-17 helicopters, or 4 armored vehicles ready for combat. And it does not just carry cargo. It takes off from unpaved runways, lands in remote regions, and flies more than 4,800 kilometers fully loaded. From Syria to Iraq to Africa, the Ruslan has been used not only by Russia, but also by NATO forces, including the United States, whenever they needed to move something their own aircraft could not lift. It has even delivered field hospitals, hydroelectric turbines, and satellite parts in humanitarian operations. In the world of heavy airlift, the Ruslan does not ask questions. It simply lifts and flies. Unlike its bigger brother, which we will see above, the An-124 still operates regularly. It is active, available, and it keeps impressing the world every time it lands, shaking the runway with its guttural roar. When you see its doors open, spitting out war machines, you realize the Ruslan is not just a plane. It is a declaration of power. Top 2. Hughes H-4, Hercules, Spruce Goose. No guns, no bombs, and it only flew for 45 seconds. Yet it remains one of the most colossal and extreme airplanes ever built. And the most incredible part? It was made of wood. The Hughes H-4 Hercules, nicknamed the Spruce Goose, was the most ambitious, absurd, and legendary cargo plane project of its time. Conceived by billionaire Howard Hughes during World War II, it was meant to transport troops, tanks, and supplies across the Atlantic, safe from German submarines. But metals were rationed, so the world's largest airplane had to be built almost entirely from plywood. The result? A flying madness. Almost 100 meters of wingspan, more than 180 tons of total weight, 8 engines with over 3,000 horsepower each, theoretical capacity for more than 700 troops or a full Sherman tank. Never before or after has an airplane been this wide. Not even the Antonov and 225 beats it in wingspan. It only flew once, in 1947, just a few hundred meters above the water. But that was enough to prove such a giant could fly. And in that moment, the Spruce Goose went from failure to legend. Today, it still exists, preserved in an Oregon museum, holding the eternal title of largest and heaviest wooden aircraft ever built. No one has ever dared to repeat it. Because what Howard Hughes created was not just a plane, it was a myth, a whale of the sky that never went to war but forever changed what we believed possible in aviation. It may have flown only once, but when you stand before its immense silhouette, floating above the water like a titan from another world, you understand why the Spruce Goose will forever belong among the most extreme aircraft ever built. Top 1. Antonov and 225 Mriya. Its name says it all. Mriya means dream in Ukrainian, and this airplane was exactly that. The dream of building the largest, heaviest, most brutal aircraft ever to touch the sky. The Antonov and 225 Mriya was a masterpiece of Soviet engineering. Built in the 1980s to carry the Boeing space shuttle, it instantly became the most extreme cargo plane on the planet. Why number 1? Because no other aircraft beats it in size, weight, power, or presence. 84 meters long, 88 meters of wingspan, the widest in aviation history. 6 monstrous engines lifting more than 250 tons of payload. 32 wheels holding its crushing weight. One Guinness record after another. The heaviest cargo ever flown. The longest object ever carried inside an airplane. The heaviest takeoff in history. But it was not just numbers. It was what this aircraft did. It transported turbines, entire trains, power plant generators, even space mission hardware. In humanitarian ops, it delivered hundreds of tons of medical supplies in record time to disaster zones. And every time it landed, the entire runway trembled. Not from speed, but from the colossal weight resting on its wings. Only one operational unit was ever built, and that was enough to make it a global legend. In 2022, during the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the Mriya was destroyed on the ground. But its myth only grew larger. Now the world talks about rebuilding it, bringing it back, because humanity needs at least one plane capable of doing what only the Mriya could do, the Antonov. And 225 was never just an aircraft. It was the final limit of human engineering, what we could lift and make fly. And until another airplane dares to surpass it, the Mriya will remain the absolute king of air transport. Closing, and there you have it. The 7 most extreme cargo planes humanity has ever built. From a swollen flying whale to a Soviet Titan hauling rockets, and even a wooden monster that only flew once but made history. Real machines. Giants of the air. Beasts designed to move what the world thought immovable. Which of these colossi left you speechless? And if you could fly in one, which would you choose? Tell us in the comments. And if this video blew your mind, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, because what is coming on TechZNX will be even more brutal, more extreme, and more real than ever.